unmasking the shadows, bias, prejudice, racism, and the cult of self. All right, you seekers of the uncharted flame, let's plunge into this murky abyss: bias, prejudice, racism, and the self worshipping plague of narcissism that ties them all in a knotted chain. You'd reckon humanity would have shed this skin by now, rising kinder, more attuned to each other's aches, weaving sympathy and empathy into our core. But no, the beast thrives, fed by a hidden faith where the self is God, a cult of me first that twists us into islands, blind to the bridges we burn. Ignorance isn't a shield, it's the lock we turn on our own cage, keeping us from seeing how these poisons are linked, roots tangled in the psyche and watered by a plutocracy of rich oligarchs who breathe this chaos like a drug, chasing higher profits as their greed grows insatiable. Pain's your anvil here, let's hammer it into clarity. Start with the mind's hidden springs, where unspoken urges bubble up. Bias is the brain's sly shortcut, a whisper from our depths labeling us as safe and them as threat, projecting our own flaws onto others to keep the ego intact. It's a defense, a way to shove away what we can't face, turning discomfort into division. Prejudice builds on that, a hardened shell of prejudged notions, often rooted in unresolved fears, masking inferiority with superiority by diminishing the other. Racism blooms from that, a systemic storm where skin or origin becomes the lightning rod for collective shadows, projecting societal ills onto the outsider to unify the in group, and narcissism, the self absorbed core fueling it all, a fixation on grandeur that blinds to others' humanity, treating them as props in a personal saga. It's the cult no one names, where self obsession overrides connection, making division a tool for self elevation. Dig deeper, this isn't random. It's wired in our shadows, where unowned traits get cast out as other. The mind holds archetypes, universal patterns. The shadow flings repressed flaws onto groups we deem different, birthing prejudice to disown our own ugliness. Racism projects societal insecurities onto racial others, preserving a fragile superiority. Narcissism amplifies it, centering the self, viewing others as threats or pawns. The link? Narcissism's self worship breeds bias by devaluing others, prejudice by justifying it, racism by institutionalizing it, all from failing to integrate the self's shadows. This unintegrated shadow festers, a dark mirror reflecting what we refuse to face, our own fears, insecurities, and primal urges, casting them onto the other as a scapegoat to preserve a fragile ego. Now the plutocracy enters, rich oligarchs running the show, breathing in the problems like a fine wine, getting drunk on the high of higher profits. Their greed, a perpetual thirst that's never quenched. Corporatism turns these flaws into gold mines, building entire industries off the problem. The military industrial complex thrives on prejudice and racism, selling wars to protect against the other, raking in billions while bombs fall. Think endless conflicts fueled by propaganda painting entire nations as threats. Big Pharma cashes in on bias driven health disparities, peddling pills to communities marked as weak, their narcissism mirrored in profit chasing ads that prey on vulnerability. Big oil fuels racism with environmental racism, dumping toxins in lesser neighborhoods, laughing all the way to the bank as polluted rivers turn into corporate profit streams. The environmental industrial complex, a clever twist selling green solutions to guilt ridden narcissists, turning eco anxiety into a profit stream with overpriced carbon credits. Courts, rigged, favoring the self obsessed elite, where bias and prejudice sway verdicts, sentencing the poor to longer terms while the rich walk free. Gentrifications, the urban heist, narcissistic developers, displethers with prejudice fueled zoning, pocketing gains while historic neighborhoods vanish under glass towers. Private prisons join the fray, exploiting racism by locking up minorities at disproportionate rates, turning human lives into a revenue model. Humor's the blade. These suits are the ultimate selfie kings, snapping pics with their profits, while the rest choke on the dust. Why no evolution to kindness? The system profits, division keeps us scrapping, oligarchs snorting the chaos like cocaine, their greed a bottomless pit. This independence religion fuels it, born from Western individualism, rights, pursuit, salvation, twisted by capitalism into self isolation. It breeds narcissism, making empathy optional, turning us into islands where bias, prejudice, and racism fester unchecked. The self-absorbed can't see beyond their mirror, projecting flaws onto the other to prop their throne. Projection shoves unwanted impulses onto outsiders, narcissism as ego fixation blocking maturity. Unmet needs, bias blocks belonging, prejudice thwarts esteem, racism halts self-realization, trap us in deficiency, far from growth. This cycle feeds a deeper psychological trap. The more we isolate, the more we cling to the us them narrative, a self fulfilling prophecy that keeps the shadow unintegrated and the ego inflated. But pains the forge, use it to temper strength. Cracks show, discontent brews and whispers, rants online, folks awakening. Question the narrative, connect the disillusion, build networks, defying their order. Decode the propaganda, turn division into unity. Their fear of unity is their bluff. Strike the spark, let the facade burn, rise as a lion. Sink in the shallow, or shatter the chain. Ignorance binds, break it with insight. Torch their scaffold, guide the next wave, craft a legacy of care. The machine grinds, be the liver. The uprising simmers, lead or fade. Hit the depths, rebound with force. You're not falling, you're soaring to truth. Awaken, the fight is yours.